Hello and welcome to Guitars for Bars. Today we're going to glue the strap button extension into place on this Solo brand Flying V guitar. First thing we need to do is mix up the JB Weld. I like JB Weld. It gets hard so you can sand it and paint it. And it holds well. It's easy to use and it cleans up with soap and water. And now, before you go and glue this on, if you're going to do this yourself, you got to make sure you sand off the sealer on the end of the body there. Now I've got my block that I made that goes on, the dowel rod that goes through it, and that little block to go over the end for clamping so that the clamp don't get stuck on that, and instead it clamps on that. I've got a tongue depressor, which I broke up into a couple pieces. This one I don't need. This one's for mixing, and this one's for getting it in the hole. And then this is already clamped together. You saw the pictures of that. I've got the parchment paper to go up over the end, and that'll keep the JB Weld off of this piece of wood, so it all comes back apart like it's supposed to. Okay, let's get this JB Weld mixed up. Doesn't take very long. I've used this stuff for 40 years. I can tell by looking at it if I got a little bit too much of one in it, or not enough of the other, and this needs to be a little bit darker gray. Put a little bit more in there. See how that comes out. I bought some a few weeks ago, and the white part of it is really runny, really runny, and it's not mixing right. I'm having to use too much of the white stuff. Okay, so that's mixed up. Now, I don't need these anymore. I didn't want to get that stuff on my fingers just yet. At the end, it don't matter. I'll just wash it off in soap and water. Here we go. Take some of this first. And I'm going to stick it in here. Work it in there all the way to the very back of the hole. Get it in good. Get it all the way around. This dowel rod fits pretty snug. Not so snug that you can't pull it back out if there's nothing else in there. But it's snug enough. Some's going to squish out. You apply it to the dowel rod also. The end that's going in, I've rounded it off a little bit with sandpaper. And I've also scraped the sides just a little bit with my pocket knife to kind of flatten out a few of the surfaces, leave room for the JB Weld. It fits pretty snug, but there's a little bit of room for wiggling in there. Okay, I'm going to set that down for a second. And take the block that's going on and cover it. Now I got some marks on top. You can't really hardly see them, but they're there. So I know which side's the top, because it doesn't square up. If I use it the wrong way, it won't square up with the body. Get that coated good. And get it in the hole. This is messy, but like I said, it comes off your hands with soap and water. And you want to do that part there too, because it's just like if you're doing wood glue. It's a good idea to put it on both surfaces. That way it can soak in to the pores before you go and squeeze it all together. If you get a little bit on the paper, you can wipe it off before you do the final gluing. This stuff dries slow, sets up slow, so you got plenty of time. I'm probably rushing it just because, you know, the anxiety of making a video. So there you go. That's looking pretty good. You want that coverage all, you know, you don't leave any spot uncovered, because it's gonna, you'll have to go back and fill it if you do. Okay, now a little bit more on this. Oh, my cat wants in. Make sure that end is good and coated. It's going to get squished out. Here we go. I should have wiped some of that off first. It's all right. It will not dry. It will not stick to this parchment paper at all. Once it's dry, it comes right off. Now, hammer, very important tool. Squish that stuff out and get it in there. Okay, it's squishing out. Now, we're going to put this on there so that the clamp doesn't stick to it, or so the clamp actually clamps on the wood. So like that's there. We're going to use this one with a little pressure just to make sure it stays square with the neck. And just real slight pressure, just enough to hold it, because I want the board to be able to slide when I put this other clamp on. And this one goes on like this. Oops. Let's move this to the other side. All right, it's squishing out. That's good, because we're going to sand all that off. Now, you don't got to overly tighten this clamp. The JB Weld's epoxy, it's going to hold pretty good. Oops, there's some right there. That's good. I'm going to take that. It's a little thin right in there, I can see. We're just going to smear that stuff in there. Make sure all the sides, all the seams are good and covered. Kind of messed up there. If we need to, we'll put a little bit more on after it's all done. All right. That should do it. Let that dry 2 days, and then we'll take it apart and do the sanding. Okay, it's been several days. This is dry. I already block sanded that a little bit on the inside. And I'm going to take this and shape this a little bit. Okay, I got to go get the neck. All right, I got to have some idea how it's going to match up to the neck, don't I? That's a snug fit. Okay, it's not too bad. It's close to the line, the contour of the neck. Take a little bit off there, a little bit more off there. My strap button's going to go right about there. A little bit this side of center. Otherwise, when you're playing it, it'll want to tip over this way. So you don't want the strap button quite centered over just a little bit. You want to round this off so it's shaped nice around it, and then try to match this up a little bit down here, right around the corners. I don't have a lot to work with. Okay. Now I'm going to take just a little bit off of here. Alright, so you get the general idea. I'm probably going to shape that a little bit more by hand. Real quick, let's see how the neck looks. Stuck in there. Once we got that all glued up, then I'll sand that a little bit more by hand to get that all shaped so it flows real nice into the neck. Alright, that'll be the next video. Please hit like and subscribe. And God bless you. Have a good day.